Are Powell's mistakes enough to get him fired? Joining me now is David Bahnsen, managing partner at the Bahnsen Group. Wonderful to see you two guys. Thanks very much for coming in. David, what do you make of all this?
Well, it's a big mixed bag because I'm so critical of a lot of what the chairman has done, and I'm basically critical of the job that we ask him to do. A lot of the stuff that I hear from my conservative friends criticizing Jay Powell are not a criticism of Jay Powell. They're a criticism of this overly ambitious vision of a Fed. Everybody turns to the Fed. They deify the role. Blaming Powell for all the inflation is just as ridiculous as vindicating him for bad decisions. The president does not have a legal right to fire him, and the president has every right to be disapproving of certain things he's done. But what I find so ironic is Powell's doing exactly what the president wants him to do. He just didn't say it 2 days ago. If anybody thinks he's not cutting 3, 4, 5 more times this year, they're crazy. He is doing it. The futures market's telling you he's going to do it. And President Trump's going to get exactly what he wants from Jay Powell.
David, it sounded like you were going towards the question of whether we need the Fed and whether we need it to do everything that it is doing. I agree we need a lender of last resort. Yes. If there's a financial crisis, you should have a lender of last resort in a country. But for all of the other things that it's doing, isn't it doing too much?
Yes, but Congress has asked it to do some silly things, and the pop culture, what I learned from COVID, different than the financial crisis, most of the country didn't know what the Fed was. And then after Bernanke, Paulson, GFC stuff, the Fed took on a much larger role than ever had before. And then during COVID, there was just no question. Everybody was wondering, what is the Fed going to do today? They create this alphabet soup of agencies and different groups. I would like a much more humble Fed. I happen to disagree with some of my fellow Austrian friends. I think we need a central bank, but only as a lender of last resort. But that's not what the Fed's there to do now. But you know what, David? It's irrelevant. We're not getting to my view of the Fed anytime soon. So in the meantime, what can we do? Have them operate with rules. Have a rules-based framework that limits what they can do. I'm a little concerned that a lot of people are critical of Jay Powell not being political before by wishing he wouldn't be political now. I don't want him to become political at all. The tariff question's tricky because it wasn't a specific piece of legislation. They asked him if this was complicating his job. He said yes. I agree with EJ. He should have said the same thing on Biden legislation. I don't think it was politically driven. He was appointed by President Trump. Let's not forget that. But they're in a tricky position here because the tariff issue does affect what they do.
Trump has such a beef with Powell. If we think back to his first term, as growth was accelerating and inflation was actually staying low, in fact, it came down for several quarters, Powell's response was, we better hike rates, otherwise this growth is going to set off another round of inflation. And Trump threw a fit about that, and rightly so, because growth does not cause inflation. That's nonsensical.
But when he raised rates then, they were at 0%. He raised them from 0 to 1, 1.5. And I think they were trying to give themselves wiggle room. But I'm with you that the main criticism I have is not a specific rate call, either to do it or not do it. It's the philosophy of Phillips curve. The philosophy that people having jobs causes inflation. It's not true. It's never been true. It's been disproven in history.
And yet,
but no Fed chair has not believed it. They've all believed in Phillips curve.
And yet